Stephanie, we'll start with you first on the broader picture. How important is this for people to understand about Apple, and how significant are these departures for the future prospects in product development over at the biggest company in America?
Oh, thanks, Tom. I think this represents a real philosophical shift that we've been observing at Apple for really, frankly, probably the last 3 or 4 years. No one has really replaced Johnny Ive as the titular, but also sort of spiritual, creative head of Apple. And we're seeing Apple move from being a more sort of design-led company to a more engineering-led company. So while we are seeing sort of this brain drain in the creative and product development and design fields, I think Apple would probably contend that this is a brain reset. They are actually trying to bring in a different kind of talent. And so it'll be interesting to see what this means for design as a key component for Apple going forward. And it's really, I think, as much a reframing of Apple's philosophy as it is sort of a drain of talent.
Then, Stephanie, what kind of talent are they looking to bring in? What's the buzz about the new philosophy that you're talking about, and what can people expect with regard to the types of folks that Apple will now employ in the future?
Well, it's interesting. The design department now reports to Jeff Williams, who is, an operations whiz. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we see more people coming in who have engineering and operations backgrounds. And, this is a question for investors. Is Apple going to continue to be a beloved stock, produce beloved products if it is more operations and engineering driven?
Gil, Apple has gone through a lot of different developments over the course of the last decade and a half, 2 decades. It has really reinvented itself. There has been this debate about revolutionary versus evolutionary, right? Evolutionary being the next new iteration of an iPhone. Revolutionary was the iPod and the iPhone itself. What stage are we in for Apple in your mind?
Well, right now, almost all the developments are evolutionary. We're hoping that what Stephanie said doesn't actually happen, that they actually don't become just operations and engineering focused, but rather double down on that revolutionary aspect that's gotten Apple to where it is today, making the iPhone. The slight incremental improvements we've seen to the iPhone aren't going to create the type of growth Apple stock needs in order to go up further. Right now, it's trading at a pretty high multiple for a company that's eking out growth from its current product set. It really needs either very compelling changes to its existing products or new products, new form factors that can extend the hardware reach. The rest is doing great. The services are doing great. The ecosystem is so big right now that Apple is finding ways to sell more services through that ecosystem. But in order to get any type of growth on the hardware side, there's going to have to be some really big leaps forward or new form factors.
Gil, we're just showing viewers right now the quote on Apple, which shows that it trades at roughly 30 times forward earnings, next year's expected earnings. Your forecast is one of the forecasts that goes into that forward price to earnings ratio, your estimates. What is it going to take for Apple to really catalyze that next leg higher in the company, in the stock?
Growth has to accelerate. They can't keep growing at low single-digit constant currency and get a 30 times multiple on earnings. They have to find a way to accelerate growth. That's why we had such high hopes for a mixed reality headset. And what they gave us was a $3,500 unit that's really just there to start developers going on that technology. They need a new AR headset, an AI pin, like we've seen. They need a new form factor that can get people excited. But most importantly, they need a big leap forward in the key products, mostly the iPhone, that will compel people to upgrade. The last time that happened was the iPhone 12, where we started including 5G. If you look at the iPhone 15 that just came out, the differences are so slight. There's a moving island. The camera is slightly better. These are not the big leaps that consumers need in order to compel them to upgrade ahead of a phone breaking or ahead of a phone living out its useful life. That's what it's going to take in order to generate growth that's more than low single digits. Without more than low single digit growth, you're not going to get double-digit earnings growth, and you're not going to get any multiple higher than 30 times.
All right. And Stephanie, we will give the last word to you. Is Apple, in your mind, still one of the most attractive companies to work for within the Silicon Valley ecosystem? If so, what keeps it that way? If not, what do they need to do?
I would say that Apple continues to be attractive for people who want to see real world applications of their work. That's how they sell it on their careers website. That's how they're trying to attract new people. It's that if you want to see your work out in the world, come to Apple. What's unclear to me is, as the center of gravity has shifted to artificial intelligence, one, if you want to see your AI work out into the world, you probably want to work for an enterprise software company or a company that's in the enterprise space, because that's where we're seeing the activity right now. And the other is, and this is a question for all the neural networks experts out there, is that what really turns on people in the machine learning world? Do they really care about seeing their work out in the world, or are they more interested in the applied research and the academic piece of it? So I think if you want to see your products out in the world, Apple is still the place to be, especially if you want to see it at scale.
Sure.
But if other things turn you on, there are other places to go.